Picture a peaceful riverbank. Birds are chirping, dragonflies are buzzing, and sunlight sparkles across the water. Then suddenly a splash. A blur of brown fur rockets out of the river, flips in midair, and belly slides straight into a pile of mud. Another otter joins in, and soon the calm river looks like a water park built by professional troublemakers. These are river otters, nature's pranksters. While most animals focus on hunting, eating, and resting, otters have added a fourth priority: play. And not just a little playtime. They spend hours chasing, wrestling, sliding, and stealing things for fun. Scientists say this helps young otters practice hunting skills and build muscle. But honestly, it just looks like they are having the time of their lives. One researcher once said studying otters was like trying to record a tornado made of laughter. Watching them, that feels completely accurate. Welcome to Just Paw Facts. Today, we're diving into the wild, splashy world of otters, the river bandits of the animal kingdom. These furry troublemakers juggle rocks, raid crab traps, and turn every river into a playground. But beneath all that mischief is a story of teamwork, survival, and one of the greatest comebacks in nature. So grab your snorkel and hold on to your snacks. The otters are on the loose. Family fun or organized chaos, otters do not like being alone. A single otter is rare because they prefer to live and travel in groups called rafts. These rafts can include mothers, fathers, siblings, and cousins all working and playing together. In a river otter family, everyone has a job. Mothers teach pups how to swim, often by simply dropping them into the water. Older siblings help catch fish and stand guard. The pups? Their job is to make sure no one has a quiet moment. River otter families are full of teamwork, but also full of chaos. They chase each other, tug on tails, and steal food just because they can. When people see them and think they are fighting, they are usually just playing very enthusiastically. Global gangs. Otters live almost everywhere water flows. In North America, river otters dart through lakes and marshes. Across the Pacific Ocean, sea otters float in kelp forests and hold hands while they nap. In South America, the giant river otter patrols the Amazon River like a furry submarine. In Southeast Asia, the small clawed otter uses its tiny hands to dig through mud for crabs. Different otters live in different places, but all share the same energy: playful, curious, and a little bit sneaky. Why so playful? Otters do not just play for fun, their games help them stay alert and strong. Sliding down muddy slopes improves balance. Wrestling builds muscle. Sneaking up on each other is perfect practice for catching fish or avoiding predators. Every game they play has a purpose, even if it looks silly. It is all part of being a well-trained river bandit. But that does not stop them from enjoying it. Sometimes the fun gets messy. Otters have been caught stealing fish from fishermen, raiding crab traps, and chasing dogs away from their rivers. If something is shiny or edible, it is fair game. Mischief by design. Otters are perfectly built for this kind of playful chaos. Their long, flexible bodies let them twist and roll like gymnasts underwater. Their webbed feet work like built-in flippers. Even their whiskers act as high-tech sensors, detecting tiny ripples made by fish. They can hold their breath for nearly 8 minutes, plenty of time to sneak up on prey or play a few rounds of hide-and-seek. Their thick, waterproof fur keeps them warm, even in icy water. It might look like random splashing, but every movement is powered by clever design. Otters are not just goofballs, they are elite aquatic athletes disguised as comedians. Now that we know how playful and powerful these little river bandits can be, it is time to look closer. What makes their bodies so perfectly designed for life in the water? And why do they look like small, soggy superheroes? The shape of speed. An otter's body is long, sleek, and flexible. It moves through water like a furry torpedo. Its short, strong legs work like paddles, and its long tail acts as a rudder that steers every twist and turn. While a fish can dart away in an instant, an otter can bend, roll, and dive with surprising control. If you watch one swim, it looks more like flying through water than swimming. Their backbone bends like a spring, sending waves through their whole body. Each push launches them forward with power and grace. In a chase, A river otter can reach speeds up to 7 miles per hour, and a sea otter can dive hundreds of feet below the surface. The supersuit. Otter fur is one of the thickest in the animal kingdom. It has 2 layers. The outer layer keeps water out, while the inner layer traps air bubbles close to the skin. Those bubbles keep them warm and dry even in freezing water. Sea otters spend hours every day grooming their fur because if it gets dirty or oily, they lose that layer of air and start to get cold. To clean their coat, otters roll, twist, and blow air through the fur using their mouths. It looks funny, but it is serious business. A sea otter's fur is so effective that they can live in icy ocean water without any layer of blubber like seals have. Their warmth comes entirely from their fur and their non-stop motion. Staying still for too long means losing heat, so otters almost never stop moving. The secret weapons. Now, let's talk about the tools that make otters such skilled hunters. Start with the whiskers. Those tiny hairs around their noses are more than decorations. They act like underwater radar. Whiskers detect the faint vibrations that fish make when they swim, even in dark or murky water. Their eyes are shaped to see well both above and below the surface. They can close their small ears and nostrils to keep water out when diving. Their webbed feet give each stroke more push, and their sharp claws help them grip slippery prey or dig for shellfish along riverbeds and tide pools. Otters even have built-in pockets under their front arms. Sea otters use these little pouches to carry snacks or favorite tools, like the rocks they use to crack open clams. Imagine going to the store with your own built-in shopping bags. Handy, right? Sea versus river designs. River otters and sea otters look similar at first, but they are built for slightly different worlds. River otters are lighter, faster, and can move easily on land. Their homes stretch between rivers, lakes, and marshes. They can sprint on land almost as well as a raccoon. Sea otters are heavier, with webbing between their toes that makes them stronger swimmers. They spend most of their lives in the water, eating, grooming, and even sleeping on the surface wrapped in kelp to keep from drifting away. Each version of the otter body is perfectly tuned for its environment. River otters are the speedy scouts of freshwater. Sea otters are the floating engineers of the coast. The power of the tail. The tail deserves its own spotlight. It makes up about 1/3 of the otter's total length and works like an engine. When an otter wants to move fast, it swings that tail side to side, slicing through water like a propeller. It also helps them balance when they stand upright or carry things on their chests. Some otters use their tails for play too. Young otters often grab each other's tails in a watery version of tug-of-war. It looks silly, but it strengthens the muscles they will use later for diving and swimming against strong currents. Built to burn energy. Otters have extremely fast metabolisms. Their bodies burn calories at nearly 3 times the rate of a human's just to keep warm. This means they have to eat a lot. A single sea otter can eat up to 1/4 of its body weight in food every day. That would be like a 100-pound person eating 25 pounds of seafood daily. This high energy demand is why otters are always hunting or playing. They cannot afford long naps. Every flip, dive, and splash keeps their blood moving and their body temperature steady. Even their constant curiosity serves a purpose. Exploring, poking, and digging helps them find more food. Question for you. If you could borrow one of an otter's superpowers, what would it be? Tell me in the comments which power you would pick. Personally, I think the tail wins for coolest gadget. The otter's body is a masterpiece of design, perfect for a life filled with speed and play. But their real magic happens when they work together. In the next chapter, we will meet the rest of the crew and see how otter families turn teamwork into survival. If otters were people, they would run the happiest gang in town. Every splash, chirp, and playful shove means something. They live in tight groups where family is everything and teamwork keeps them alive. Life in the river or along the coast is tough, but otters have figured out that the best way to survive is to stick together and have a little fun while doing it. Life in the raft. A group of otters is called a raft, and the name fits perfectly. They move together like a floating community, always close enough to touch. River otters live in family groups that often include a mother and her pups. Sea otters sometimes gather by the dozens, forming huge rafts that drift across kelp forests like living islands. Every raft has its own personality. Some are calm and careful, others are loud and wild. What never changes is their bond. An otter separated from its family will call out with high-pitched whistles until it finds them again. The sound can travel for miles over water. Mom, the leader of the crew. In most otter families, the mother is the boss. She teaches, protects, and organizes the daily routine. When it is time to learn to swim, she does not wait for her pups to be ready. She picks them up by the scruff and drops them straight into the water. At first, the pups float like fuzzy corks, blinking in shock. But within days, they are diving, rolling, and chasing after her. Mother otters keep their pups clean, warm, and well-fed. They groom the babies constantly to keep their fur waterproof and take them along on every hunt once they are old enough to keep up. Even when the pups are grown, the bond remains strong. In some species, older siblings help babysit new litters, turning the whole family into a cooperative team. The playful life lessons. Otter play may look like pure fun, but every game teaches something. Wrestling sharpens reflexes, hide and seek builds patience and stealth, sliding down riverbanks teaches balance and courage, even sharing food helps them learn social rules. Young otters imitate everything the adults do. If a mother flips a rock to find a crab, the pups immediately try the same move, even if they end up with nothing but mud. Play gives them the skills they will need to survive, and it strengthens family bonds at the same time. Communication and connection. Otters are surprisingly talkative. They use chirps, whistles, growls, and squeaks to share information. A low hum can mean, "Follow me." A sharp bark can mean, "Danger nearby." Mothers use soft coos to calm their pups, and excited squeaks during feeding time can sound like laughter. They also communicate with body language. A raised head means curiosity. A twitched tail can mean impatience. When two otters rub faces or groom each other, it is a sign of trust. Their constant chatter and touch make them one of the most social mammals in the animal kingdom. Teamwork in action. When hunting, otters work together like a synchronized swim team. River otters sometimes herd schools of fish into shallow water, taking turns catching dinner. Sea otters float side by side, each cracking open shellfish with their favorite rock. But they keep a sharp eye on their neighbors because stealing is common in the gang. Some sea otter mothers even anchor themselves in kelp while caring for pups so they do not drift away. The kelp acts like a natural seatbelt in the ocean's waves. Every move is careful, practiced, and shared. Family rules. Every raft follows a few simple rules. Stay close, share the fun, protect the young. When danger appears, like an eagle overhead or a hungry coyote on the shore, the whole group reacts instantly. They dive together, call out warnings, and circle back to check on the smallest members. It is teamwork at its best. Their closeness is one of the main reasons otters have survived in so many places. A lone otter might struggle, but a family working together becomes nearly unstoppable. Otters prove that family can be both fun and functional. Their teamwork keeps them fed, safe, and happy. But how do these clever creatures actually pull off their river heists? In the next chapter, we will look at their sneaky hunting skills and see why every meal feels like a master plan. Every good bandit has a plan, and otters are no different. Whether they are diving in rivers or floating on the sea, they turn every meal into a clever heist. To an otter, food is treasure, and getting it takes brains, speed, and sometimes a little mischief. The Great Fish Chase. Let's start with the river otter. A school of fish swims by, glinting like silver coins in the sun. In an instant, the otter dives, twisting through the current like a living arrow. It moves with perfect rhythm, kicking with its webbed feet and steering with its tail. Fish dart one way, then the other, but the otter is faster. It does not waste time chasing a single fish. Instead, it cuts off the group, forcing them into shallow water. Within seconds, it grabs one in its teeth and surfaces triumphantly, whiskers dripping. River otters eat fish, frogs, crabs, and even small turtles. Their flexible bodies let them slip into narrow spaces between rocks, and their sharp claws make sure nothing escapes once they grab it. They are quick, quiet, and efficient, true underwater thieves. Shell crackers of the sea. Sea otters, on the other hand, are the tool experts of the animal world. They love shellfish, but cracking open a clam or sea urchin is not easy. So what do? They grab a rock. Not just any rock, but a favorite one that they often keep tucked under their arm like a prized possession. Floating on their backs, sea otters place the rock on their stomachs and use it like an anvil. With quick strikes, they smash open the shell and scoop out the tasty meal inside. Some even keep using the same rock for years. It is like their own personal toolkit. Scientists have found piles of broken shells on the ocean floor, which are basically otter dining tables. Sneaky snack time. Otters are smart and not afraid to bend the rules. River otters have been caught stealing fish straight from fishermen's nets. Sea otters sometimes swipe food from each other or from unsuspecting birds. There is even a story from Alaska where a sea otter learned to follow a fisherman's boat, waiting patiently for scraps to be tossed overboard. This behavior shows just how adaptable otters are. They learn quickly and remember what works. If a shortcut leads to a free snack, they will take it. Built for precision, an otter's hunting success comes down to its amazing senses. Its eyes can focus clearly both in water and on land. Its whiskers detect even the faintest vibration of a swimming fish. Its sense of touch is so sharp that it can feel movement in the dark. When you combine that with lightning reflexes and endless curiosity, you get an animal that almost never misses a meal. Otters are natural problem solvers, always experimenting and adjusting their methods. The learning curve. Young otters do not start out as expert hunters. They watch their parents closely, learning every trick. A mother might catch a small fish and release it in front of her pup so the little one can practice catching it again. It is like a moving lesson plan. Over time, the pups learn how to plan an ambush, use their tails for sudden bursts of speed, and grab prey with precision. Sea otter pups learn to use tools by watching their mothers crack open shells. At first, they just bang rocks against everything in sight. Eventually, they learn which motions work best. Within months, they are full-fledged shellfish specialists. A feast fit for bandits. Otters eat a lot. Their fast metabolism means they must refuel constantly. A river otter eats several pounds of food each day. A sea otter eats up to a quarter of its body weight. That could mean dozens of clams, fish, or crabs every single day. When they find a good hunting ground, otters often return again and again. They know where the fish hide, where the shellfish grow thick, and even what time of day prey are most active. It is like having a map of the best restaurants in town, and every meal is free if you are fast enough. Bridge to the next chapter. Otters do not just hunt, they turn every meal into a playful adventure, but food is not their only treasure. These clever creatures are famous for collecting, juggling, and hoarding things that catch their eye. Next, we will explore their obsession with tools, toys, and all things shiny. If otters had pockets full of loot, no one would be surprised. These playful bandits love to collect, stash, and play with objects almost as much as they love to eat. Every shiny shell, smooth rock, or curious object becomes part of their endless game of treasure hunting. Otters might not own treasure chests, but they act like they do. The rock collection. Sea otters are famous for their love of tools. Each one has a favorite rock, often carried in a loose patch of skin under their front leg. This hidden pocket is like a secret backpack. When it is time to eat, the otter pulls out the rock, places it on its belly, and cracks open shellfish on top of it. Some even keep a few different rocks for different jobs. Researchers have seen certain sea otters use the same rock for months. They are careful not to lose it, and when they do, they often look around until they find a replacement that feels just right. It is their personal toolkit, perfectly sized for their paws. On the other hand, river otters use rocks mainly for play. They toss them in the air, catch them, or roll them down riverbanks. Watching a group of otters juggle is like watching a circus act with fur and whiskers. The love of play. Otters play with nearly everything. They slide down muddy slopes, roll in snow, and chase sticks or leaves floating on the water. Sometimes they play with their food before eating it. A fish might get tossed around like a ball before finally being eaten. Play is not wasted time. It keeps their bodies strong, their minds alert, and their social bonds tight. Scientists have found that the more an otter plays, the better it becomes at solving problems. Their playful habits are actually brain training sessions disguised as fun. When river otters find a steep bank, they turn it into their own water slide. They climb up, slide down, and then do it all again. Even adult otters cannot resist joining in. These slides can become landmarks used by generations of otters, polished smooth from years of use. The hidden treasures. Otters are collectors by nature. They stash food and interesting objects in secret spots along the water. A pile of shells or shiny stones can mark a favorite hangout. Sometimes they even share these spots, returning day after day to play or rest. Sea otters are known to keep small objects simply because they are interesting. They might tuck a shell under their arm while napping, almost like a child holding a toy. Whether it is for comfort, curiosity, or both, it shows how complex their minds are. Learning through curiosity. Curiosity drives everything an otter does. If something moves, they investigate it. If something shines, they grab it. If something makes a noise, they poke it until they figure out what it is. This non-stop curiosity helps them learn about their environment and find new food sources. In captivity, otters given puzzles or toys quickly figure out how to open them. Some have learned to open latches, twist knobs, or untie ropes. Their intelligence rivals that of some primates, and their playful personalities make them natural explorers. Toys of the river and sea. Every environment offers something new to play with. In rivers, otters roll logs, toss pebbles, and chase bubbles. In coastal waters, sea otters play with kelp, wrapping themselves and each other in the long ribbons of seaweed. Sometimes they even tie themselves in knots while floating on their backs just to see what happens. To humans, it looks like simple fun. To an otter, it is both exercise and expression. They play because they can, and that joy is a big part of what makes them so fascinating to watch. Otters may spend their days collecting and playing, but they also have a wild side. They are clever, competitive, and not afraid to defend what belongs to them. In the next chapter, we will see how these playful bandits turn fierce when protecting their homes and how their tricks keep rivals and predators at bay. For all their playfulness, otters are not pushovers. Beneath the jokes and splashes lives a fierce streak of courage and cunning. They may be small, but when it comes to defending their homes, food, or family, these bandits turn into bold little warriors. They are playful pranksters one moment and fearless defenders the next. The territory tussle. Otters are not shy about claiming what is theirs. River otters, in particular, have strong opinions about their territory. A good stretch of river is prime real estate, and they make sure everyone knows it. They mark the edges of their land with scent posts, leaving behind messages that only other otters can read. It is their version of a no trespassing sign. When a rival wanders in, things get noisy. Otters bark, hiss, and slap the water with their tails to send warnings. Most intruders get the message and move along, but if they do not, the situation can turn into a fast and furious chase through the water. Even though fights are rare, when they happen, otters fight with sharp teeth and quick reflexes. They may look cute, but they are built to hold their ground. The ocean outlaws. Sea otters live by a different code. Since they spend nearly all their lives in the water, their territories float along with the kelp forests they call home. Males often claim sections of these floating forests, patrolling their patches and keeping a close eye on any visitors. If another male comes too close, the owner of that kelp zone will make sure he knows it. Loud squeaks and dramatic splashing are part of the show. But once the message is sent, they usually drift apart peacefully, choosing to relax rather than waste energy on a fight. Even so, sea otters can be tough when they need to be. They use their strength and cleverness to protect themselves from predators and competition alike. Tricks of the trade. Otters use tricks as much as strength. When threatened, they dive deep and hide among rocks or kelp. Their speed and flexibility make them nearly impossible to catch underwater. Some river otters have even been seen diving beneath ice in winter, surfacing through tiny air holes to avoid danger. They also use distraction. A group of otters might cause chaos in one spot to draw attention, while others slip away quietly in another direction. It is teamwork straight out of a spy movie. Sea otters have their own set of clever habits. When resting, they wrap themselves in long strands of kelp to keep from drifting away. It is both a blanket and an anchor, and it keeps them safe while they sleep. Even their dens, called holts, are carefully built in protected places like hollow logs, riverbanks, or piles of kelp. Standing up to giants. Otters face a list of predators that sound terrifying for such small animals. Eagles, coyotes, sharks, and even alligators in some regions all hunt otters. Yet otters survive because they rarely make easy targets. Their quick thinking and group cooperation give them a huge advantage. When danger appears, otters work together. They form tight circles around their young, dive in and out of the water to confuse predators, and use alarm calls to warn others. A single otter may be small, but a raft of otters can scare off threats much larger than themselves. It is safety in numbers and confidence in teamwork. Otter versus human. For centuries, otters and humans have shared the same fishing grounds. Long ago, that led to competition. Fishermen once saw otters as rivals who stole their catch, and otters, of course, saw nets as giant buffets. Today, most people have learned to admire them instead of fight them, but the stories of otter cleverness still make the rounds. There are tales of river otters sneaking into fish farms or stealing bait right off hooks. In Alaska, sea otters are known for sneaking up behind divers and tugging on their flippers just for fun. Whether it is curiosity or mischief, otters always seem to be up to something. The confidence of chaos. Otters have mastered the balance between play and power. Their confidence comes from experience. They know their bodies, they trust their instincts, and they always seem to have one more trick waiting. In the world of rivers and coasts, they are the perfect mix of clown and commander. They do not pick fights often, but when they do, it is with style, teamwork, and a surprising amount of strategy. You might say they have turned mayhem into an art form. Now that we have seen how otters protect what is theirs, it is time to dive deeper into their underwater world. Their hunting, swimming, and even playtime all depend on one thing: their skill beneath the surface. If the river is a stage, then the otter is the star performer. Under the surface, where the light flickers and bubbles rise, the otter becomes a blur of motion. Every twist, turn, and dive shows how perfectly adapted these animals are to life below the waterline. Watching them hunt or play underwater feels like watching a living dance. Life beneath the surface. An otter's world looks completely different from ours. Down there, sound moves faster, light bends in strange ways, and danger can come from any direction. To survive, otters have turned swimming into an art. Their bodies slice through water with almost no resistance, and their webbed feet work like small propellers. When an otter dives, it exhales a small stream of bubbles, making it easier to stay balanced. It can close its nostrils and ears to keep water out, and its thick fur traps a layer of air that helps it float when it is ready to rest. That same layer of air sparkles when sunlight hits it, giving the otter a silver glow as it moves. Deep sea divers. River otters usually dive for only a minute or two, but sea otters can stay under for much longer. Some have been recorded diving more than 300 feet deep. Down in the dark, they search for clams, urchins, and crabs hiding among rocks. They use their whiskers to feel movement, then grab their prey with quick, sure paws. After each dive, the otter returns to the surface for a breath, then dives again. This rhythm can go on for hours. It is hard work, but the payoff is worth it. Fresh seafood and a full belly. The chase. When a fish darts past, the otter reacts instantly. Its body bends like a wave, sending it shooting forward. Its tail provides the push, and its back legs steer the direction. The otter twists through weeds and rocks, always just a split second behind its prey. Then, with a final burst, it lunges forward and catches the fish in its teeth. If there is more than one otter, the hunt becomes a team effort. They may herd fish into corners or shallow pools, taking turns grabbing dinner. Every movement looks like part of a well-rehearsed routine. It is silent, smooth, and fast, breathing between battles. Otters are clever about timing their dives. Before they plunge under, they take a deep breath that fills their lungs completely. While underwater, their heart rate slows down to save oxygen. When it is time to breathe again, they rise to the surface in a quick roll, gulp air, and dive right back in. Even sea otter pups, who cannot dive at first, float safely on the surface while their mothers hunt. Moms sometimes wrap their babies in kelp to keep them from drifting away. It is one of nature's sweetest safety systems, the joy of swimming. Not every dive is for food. Sometimes otters swim just for fun. They chase each other, race through bubbles, and practice flips that serve no purpose except joy. For them, the water is both playground and pantry. It gives them food, safety, and entertainment all in one shimmering package. In cold regions, river otters have even been seen breaking holes through thin ice so they can slip back into the water. They never seem bothered by the chill. As long as there is a river or lake nearby, they will find a way to swim. Underwater communication. Otters stay connected while diving using sound and touch. They make soft whistles and clicks that carry through the water, and they follow each other's bubbles to stay close. Sometimes two otters will roll and spin together, creating a trail of tiny air pearls that glimmer like glitter in the sunlight. To the casual viewer, it might look like play. In reality, it is both communication and bonding. Every shared dive strengthens the group's rhythm and trust. The underwater world of otters is full of action, but it is also full of sound. From chirps to whistles to barks, these animals have a language all their own. In the next chapter, we will listen in on the chatter of the river bandits and discover what all those squeaks really mean. If you stand quietly by a river or a rocky shore where otters live, you might hear something unexpected. It sounds like a mix of bird chirps, puppy squeaks, and gentle whistles. That is the sound of otters talking. Beneath all the splashing and laughter, there is a real language at work, one filled with emotion, warning, and affection. Talkative by nature, otters are incredibly social, and that means they have a lot to say. They live in close-knit families where communication keeps everyone safe and connected. Whether they are hunting, playing, or just floating in the sun, otters use sound and body language to stay in sync. River otters use up to a dozen different calls. Sea otters use even more. Each sound has a purpose. A short chirp means, "I'm over here." A low hum might mean, "Follow me." A loud squeal can mean, "Back off," or "Mine." Every whistle, click, and growl tells part of the story of otter life. The mother's call. The sweetest sound in the otter world is the call between a mother and her pup. When a pup drifts too far away, the mother lets out a high, sharp whistle. The pup immediately chirps back and paddles toward her voice. If it cannot find her, it calls louder and louder until she appears. Sea otter mothers even have special cooing sounds they use only when grooming or cuddling their pups. It is like a lullaby in otter language, soft and full of warmth. The warning system. Not every sound is gentle. Otters also use loud barks and hisses when they sense danger. A quick ha sound can warn others of predators nearby. When threatened, river otters slap their tails against the surface of the water. The sound echoes across the river, alerting the rest of the family. In the wild, this system can make all the difference. It allows the group to react together, diving for safety in seconds. Teamwork through sound is part of what makes otters such effective survivors. The language of touch. Otters do not just talk, they touch. Grooming is one of their main ways of communicating affection and trust. When two otters rub faces or nuzzle each other, it is a sign of comfort. In large sea otter rafts, friends hold hands while they float so they will not drift apart. These bonds are not just sweet, they are essential. Social grooming keeps fur clean and waterproof, and the gentle contact reminds each otter that it is part of something bigger than itself. Sea otter conversations. A sea otter raft can sound like a tiny town at rush hour. There are squeaks, chirps, trills, and even screams when things get dramatic. Scientists studying these sounds have noticed that otters change their tone based on their situation. They call softly when relaxed and raise the pitch when stressed or excited. Each otter's voice is slightly different, meaning family members can recognize one another by sound alone. It is a watery version of name calling, and it helps keep groups organized in the open ocean. Silent signals. When silence is better than sound, otters switch to body language. A raised head means curiosity. A sideways glance can mean suspicion. A flick of the tail or a sudden dive can signal danger. Even young pups pick up on these cues quickly. By the time they are grown, they can understand dozens of subtle messages without making a sound. It is this combination of voice, movement, and teamwork that makes otters so successful. They do not just live together, they communicate like a family that truly understands one another. The otter world is full of laughter and chatter, but it is not always safe. Their lives are filled with challenges, from predators to pollution to shrinking habitats. In the next chapter, we will explore the dangers these clever bandits face and the humans who are working to protect them. Life as a river bandit might sound like fun, but the wild is never easy. Beneath the laughter, splashes, and teamwork, otters face danger every single day. The river and sea can turn from playground to battlefield in an instant. To survive, they rely on every skill they have learned since birth: speed, smarts, and the safety of the group. Natural enemies. Otters sit in the middle of the food chain. They are fierce hunters, but they are not the biggest animals in the water. In rivers, eagles, coyotes, alligators, and large fish sometimes prey on them. In the ocean, sharks and killer whales pose the greatest threat. Even bald eagles have been seen swooping down to snatch sea otter pups floating near the surface. But otters rarely go down without a fight. Their quick movements and strong teamwork keep most predators guessing. If one spots danger, the others dive and regroup. They have even been known to splash water or make loud noises to scare off smaller predators. In the wild, confidence and unity often make the difference between life and death. The human shadow. For centuries, humans were one of the biggest threats to otters. In the 1700s and 1800s, sea otters were hunted for their thick, luxurious fur. It was so soft and warm that it became one of the most valuable furs in the world. Entire populations were wiped out along parts of the Pacific coast. By the early 1900s, sea otters were almost extinct, with only a few thousand left. River otters faced their own struggles. Pollution, habitat loss, and trapping nearly erased them from many lakes and rivers in North America. By the mid-1900s, seeing an otter in the wild had become rare in many regions. Luckily, people began to notice what was happening and decided to act. The comeback begins. Thanks to wildlife protection laws and conservation programs, otters have made an incredible comeback. Sea otters are slowly returning to the coastlines of California, Alaska, and even parts of Japan and Russia. River otters have been reintroduced to dozens of rivers across the United States and Canada. Clean water projects and fishing regulations have helped too. As rivers and oceans recover, so do the creatures that depend on them. In some areas, otters have become symbols of environmental success, proof that if humans fix what they break, nature can bounce back. New dangers. Even with these victories, modern otters still face trouble. Plastic pollution fills waterways where they hunt. Oil spills threaten sea otters by ruining the waterproofing in their fur. A single patch of oil can cause them to lose heat and drown. Climate change is another growing problem. As sea temperatures rise and fish populations shift, otters must swim farther to find food. In some areas, competition with humans for fish and shellfish has increased again. The bandits have to work harder than ever to keep their place in the ecosystem. The power of clean water. Otters are often called indicator species. That means their health tells scientists how healthy the environment is. If otters are thriving, it usually means the water is clean, the fish are plentiful, and the ecosystem is balanced. When otters disappear, it is a sign that something is wrong. This makes otters both victims and heroes of their world. Saving them helps protect everything else around them, from fish and birds to the plants that grow along the water's edge. People who help. Across the world, many groups are working to keep otters safe. Marine rescue teams clean up oil spills and care for stranded otters. Scientists track populations to make sure they stay stable. Wildlife parks teach visitors how pollution, litter, and overfishing affect these animals. Even ordinary people can help. Choosing reusable containers, reducing plastic waste, and supporting clean water programs all make a difference. When humans take care of rivers and oceans, otters thrive. And so do we. Otters have faced nearly every challenge nature and humans could throw at them, yet they still find ways to survive and smile through it all. Their story is one of resilience, family, and laughter in the face of struggle. In the next chapter, we will celebrate their remarkable comeback and look at what the future might hold for the world's most mischievous little survivors. Every great bandit story needs a good ending, and for the otter, that ending is one of hope. After centuries of being hunted, chased, and nearly erased, these clever creatures have staged one of the most heartwarming comebacks in the animal kingdom. Their survival shows what can happen when people decide that laughter, life, and wild rivers are worth saving. From vanishing to victory. By the early 1900s, sea otters had disappeared from most of the Pacific coastline. River otters were gone from many inland lakes and streams. It looked like the end of the line for the furry bandits. Then something incredible happened. Scientists, fishermen, and even governments began to notice what was missing. Rivers without otters felt quiet and lifeless. Kelp forests without sea otters started to collapse because sea urchins, which otters normally eat, multiplied out of control and chewed away the kelp. People realized that the health of the otter was tied to the health of the whole ecosystem. So they acted. Laws were passed to ban hunting. Wildlife groups started rescue programs. Scientists carefully relocated otters from healthy areas to places where they had disappeared. It took time, patience, and teamwork, but the results were amazing. The return of the bandits. Slowly, the otters came back. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. In Alaska, sea otters reclaimed miles of coastline. In California, they returned to kelp beds where they had been missing for a century. River otters began showing up again in lakes and rivers across the Midwest and Northeast. Today, they have become symbols of clean water and wild success. Seeing an otter glide across a pond or float on its back is no longer rare. It is a reminder that nature can heal if given the chance. The ripple effect. When otters return, everything changes for the better. In coastal waters, sea otters eat sea urchins that destroy kelp forests. With fewer urchins, the kelp grows thick again, creating homes for fish and shelter for other sea life. In rivers, otters help control fish and frog populations, keeping the food chain in balance. Their presence brings energy back to ecosystems that were once silent. It is like watching a band start playing again after a long pause. Life returns to the rhythm, modern-day challenges. Even with these victories, the story is not over. Otters still need protection from pollution, oil spills, and shrinking habitats. Conservation teams continue to monitor their numbers and work to clean up the waterways they call home. The good news is that people around the world now see otters not as trophies or pests, but as partners in keeping the planet healthy. Zoos and aquariums educate millions of visitors about how important these animals are. Social media spreads videos of otters playing, cuddling, and holding hands, turning them into ambassadors of joy. The more people love otters, the more likely they are to protect them. A global family. Otters live on almost every continent except Antarctica and Australia. From the chilly rivers of Canada to the tropical streams of Asia, their story is shared around the world. Each species faces its own challenges, but they all represent the same lesson. Nature is strong when given room to breathe. Communities in South America now protect the mighty giant river otter of the Amazon. Conservationists in England have helped native otters return to rivers that were once polluted. In Japan, local groups celebrate sea otter sightings as good luck for the coast. The bandits are back, and the world is cheering them on. The future of the river bandits. The future of otters depends on us. Keeping rivers and oceans clean, protecting coastlines, and preserving wetlands are the keys to their continued success. Every bottle recycled, every stream cleaned, and every new law that defends wildlife helps keep these furry mischief makers safe. Their resilience reminds us that even the smallest creatures can make a big difference. The next time you see a photo or video of an otter floating peacefully or juggling a rock, remember that it represents a victory years in the making. We began this story with splashes and laughter, and that is exactly how it should end. Otters remind us that life in the wild is not just about surviving. It is about playing, exploring, and finding joy in every ripple of the water. They are the perfect mix of clever and curious, part scientist, part comedian, and all heart. Whether floating in kelp beds or racing down muddy slides, they show us that fun and survival can go hand in hand. From the cold rivers of Alaska to the warm streams of Asia, otters live with energy that never seems to fade. They teach their young with patience, defend their homes with courage, and still make time to juggle rocks just for the fun of it. They have faced extinction and bounced back stronger than ever. That makes them more than cute animals. It makes them symbols of hope, the bandits' legacy. Otters are not perfect, and that is what makes them special. They steal fish, tease birds, and cause plenty of chaos, yet somehow still win everyone's hearts. They remind us that curiosity can be messy, play can be powerful, and laughter can keep you strong. Their return to rivers and coastlines proves that when people care enough to protect nature, it gives back more than we expect. Clean water, healthy forests, and thriving wildlife are all connected. And the otter sits right in the middle of that story, smiling the whole time. A look back. In this journey, we met the mischievous families of the river, the tool-using sea otters of the coast, and the playful pups learning life one splash at a time. We saw how their teamwork, intelligence, and unbreakable spirit turned them into true survivors. Every whisker, every splash, every whistle tells a story of an animal that never gave up. The river bandits are not just living fossils of fun, they are proof that joy is part of evolution too. Final reflection. Maybe that is why people love otters so much. They show us the beauty of curiosity without fear. They dive headfirst into the unknown, explore every corner, and still make time to hold hands with their friends. That is the kind of spirit the world could use a little more of. So the next time you see a photo of an otter smiling or rolling in the water, remember that you are looking at one of nature's greatest success stories, a reminder that it is never too late for a comeback. If you enjoyed this journey with the otters, give this video a like, subscribe for more wild stories, and share it with someone who could use a smile today. And in the comments, tell us which otter moment was your favorite. Was it the rock juggling, the teamwork, or the fearless fish chase? Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and above all, stay wild.